The restaurant was buzzing with soft laughter, clinking glasses, and the faint hum of background music. I had planned this night for weeks, her birthday dinner with close friends, family, and me at her side. I wanted it to be perfect. I wanted her to feel celebrated. When the cake arrived, candles flickering warmly against her smile, I thought I had succeeded. Everyone began clapping as she leaned forward to blow them out. I reached for her hand, ready to whisper my own little birthday wish into her ear. And then she spoke. "I just want to thank everyone for being here tonight," she said, her voice carrying easily across the room. She looked around, meeting faces with gratitude before her tone shifted slightly. "But most of all, I want to thank someone very special. My ex, Daniel, because he really raised the bar for how a man should treat me." The room went silent. I froze, my hand still hovering between us, like an unfinished gesture caught in time. Every face turned toward me, waiting for my reaction, but my chest felt like it had collapsed in on itself. Her ex? She was standing here, with me on her birthday, and she had chosen him to honor publicly. I forced a smile. My jaw hurt from the effort. Inside, though, I felt something break. The night crawled forward. People tried to cover the awkwardness with nervous chuckles and quick subject changes. She laughed too, like it was just a harmless joke, but her eyes sparkled with something I couldn't place. Guilt, amusement, maybe both. When it was finally over, when the hugs were exchanged and the guests drifted out into the night, I drove us home in silence. She hummed softly beside me, scrolling through her phone as though nothing unusual had happened. At the red light, I finally asked, "Why did you say that?" "Say what?" she replied casually, eyes never leaving the screen. "That thing about Daniel. In front of everyone." She sighed like I was being unreasonable. "It was just a joke, Mark. You're too sensitive." But it didn't feel like a joke. It felt like a knife, clean and deliberate. The days after her birthday were heavy. She moved around the apartment as though nothing had changed, but I felt the shift in the air. I caught myself watching her more closely. Who she was texting, when she laughed at her phone, when she slipped into another room to take a call. One evening, when she went to shower, her phone buzzed on the counter. The name on the screen stopped me cold. Daniel. I shouldn't have looked. I knew it. But my hand moved before my conscience could stop it. "Daniel. Last night was bold. I didn't think you'd actually say it." "Her. Why not? It's the truth. He'll never know what you and I had." My stomach turned. The words swam in my vision, each one pounding into my head like a drumbeat. I dropped the phone back onto the counter just as the shower turned off. My pulse was racing, my chest tight. By the time she stepped out wrapped in a towel, I was sitting on the couch, staring blankly at the wall. "Everything okay?" she asked, tilting her head. I nodded, my mouth dry. "Yeah, fine." But I wasn't fine. For weeks, I lived with that knowledge, replaying her words and his messages in my head. Maybe it had ended, maybe it hadn't, but either way, she had kept a piece of him alive inside her. And I was the fool who hadn't noticed. One Saturday afternoon, while she was out shopping with friends, I sat at the kitchen table with her phone in front of me. My hands shook as I scrolled further into their conversation. Photos, messages, memories she had never shared with me but had preserved with him. And then one sentence that hollowed me out completely. Her. "Sometimes I feel like I settled. You were the one who really knew me." I dropped the phone, my chest heaving. The apartment suddenly felt smaller, suffocating. When she came home later, smiling, carrying shopping bags, she found me waiting on the couch. "We need to talk," I said, my voice low, unfamiliar. She froze, her smile faltering. "About what?" "About Daniel. About what you've been saying to him. About what you said on your birthday." Her face drained of color. She set the bags down slowly. "You went through my phone? That's what you're worried about. Not the fact that you've been betraying me." My voice cracked, raw with disbelief. "I didn't betray you," she snapped, though her eyes darted away. "We just talk sometimes. That's all. Sometimes I feel like I settled. That's what you wrote," I said, my throat tightening. "Is that all just talking?" Silence. She sank into the chair opposite me, burying her face in her hands. For the first time, she looked small, cornered. "I don't know why I said that," she whispered. Maybe part of me was scared. Maybe I was comparing. But I love you, Mark. I chose you. Her words should have soothed me. Instead, they felt like salt in a wound. You chose me, I repeated bitterly. But you never let go of him. You thanked him. You celebrated him. And you mocked me without even realizing it. Her eyes filled with tears. I didn't mean to hurt you. But you did, I said, standing. My hands trembled, but my decision was clear. And I can't keep living with a ghost in our relationship. I won't. That night, I packed a bag. She begged me to stay, promising to cut him off, swearing she'd prove her love. But the damage was already done. As I walked out the door, suitcase rolling behind me, I realized betrayal doesn't always come in the form of someone leaving your bed. Sometimes it's the quiet comparisons, the hidden messages, the way someone else's shadow lingers between you. I paused at the threshold, looking back at her one last time. She was crying, arms folded around herself, a figure both familiar and foreign. I would have given you everything, I said softly. But you made me believe I was never enough. And with that I left. The apartment I moved into was small and empty, but it was mine. The first night alone, I sat in the dark, the silence pressing down on me. The ache in my chest was sharp, unbearable at times, but it was honest pain. Betrayal had shattered me, but in that brokenness, I saw a strange kind of freedom. I had lost her, yes, but I had also lost the weight of competing with someone who wasn't even there anymore. And maybe, just maybe, that was the first step toward finding myself again.